Let's settle once and for all who makes the best mini hot dog. And we're starting right now.
Mini hot dogs are an upstate New York institution. The style in my area consists of a puffy bun, small dog, and toppings. Most people opt for the works: yellow mustard, chopped raw onion, and a thin meat sauce that is not chili. There are 3 legendary places serving up these mini dogs for a combined 250 years. Famous Lunch in Troy, Gus's in Watervliet, and Hot Dog Charlie's in Cohoes. I've featured each on the channel in depth before. For over a decade, I've been obsessed with this local food. Together with my buddy Metal Frog, the goal today is to try each back to back and decide which landmark makes the best dog. Our first stop is Famous Lunch on Congress Street in Troy. Doing this over 90 years, Famous Lunch is also a full-service greasy spoon diner filled with locals. Let's see how things went on this day.
We just got our order at Famous Lunch. For me, the comparison is going to be all the dogs with the works. This is going to be like the definitive, which one is the best. We're going on the same day, so we're taking that variable out of it, and we're going to tell you exactly which place makes the best mini hot dog.
Doing the trifecta. Famous Lunch, Gus's, Hot Dog Charlie's. 1 round, only 1 winner.
The works is mustard, raw onion, the meat sauce. They call it zippy sauce here. Going right in. Making a mess. I think the main difference we're gonna see is in the sauce. This sauce here, to me, today tastes a little bit sweet. It almost has kind of like a ketchup, like background, like kind of overarching over the flavor. The reason why I say that is because against the mustard, this is reminding me a lot of like a backyard dog. I know Keith also got some of the sauce today, so we'll see what he thinks too.
Kept it simple and just got sauce today, so we can see what it looks like at all 3 spots. Just the sauce on the dog. Yeah, I'm with you. Sweet sauce. The other thing that jumps out at me today, really fresh roll. Nice and soft. Last time we were here, a little crumbly, kind of stale. Rolls must have just been dropped off. Tastes great.
Yeah, and that place was absolutely bustling. It was kind of an older crowd too, which was interesting. They open at 7 o'clock, so we're actually here in the morning. We call this kind of brunch dogs. We're doing this as early as we can to try to make it as each of these places open. All right, on to Gus's.
Our next stop is Gus's Hot Dogs in Watervliet. Operating since 1954, Gus's is similar in status to Famous Lunch. A greasy spoon diner with a handful of menu items with a distinct focus on the mini hot dog. The meat sauce at Gus's is commonly the thinnest in the area, but with the heaviest spices. Gus's happens to be home to my favorite Yelp review of all time. But what about their hot dogs?
The most interesting part about this is that all of these places are actually like within just a couple of miles of each other. In fact, Hot Dog Charlie and Gus's are actually right on the same road, and the only thing separating Famous Lunch is the Hudson River. So you've got to cross the river, and that's kind of the only obstacle. But we have our Gus's hot dogs here. I got a nice griddle on mine today. Looking forward to this one. The sauce here seems a lot more smooth. They've applied a lot more mustard in this particular case. Like I mentioned, as far as the visuals, the sauce is definitely smoother here, and it's also sharper, and I think that was actually a comment that I made in the previous video where you can taste a lot more of the seasonings. This is nowhere near as sweet as the Famous Lunch. And I think, honestly, it's gonna be a matter of preference as far as breaking each of these down. The one thing I will say today about the bun, here, these buns can use a little bit more steaming. They're a little bit on the harder side. When we pulled up, they turned their open light on. So it's just possible that they were trying to get us something quick, and that's what they gave us. But it's still good for, I think it's $1.10 for these. You can't go wrong. Keith, you're up.
Just went with the sauce, and like Jerry said, it's a much smoother sauce here. Almost pureed. Especially compared to the zippy sauce. They had finer chunks of onion in there, some different sizes, so each bite you got a little bit of different texture. Here it's very consistent all the way through. Dog has a nice snap to it this morning. The bun is, yeah, probably yesterday's bun, but it's okay. Still works for $1.
By now, I've had a couple of these dogs so far, and I'm getting thirsty, and for me, the classic when you eat these is grape soda. All of these places seem to have grape soda, and you almost never see it anymore. You gotta kind of seek it out. But Sunkissed Grape, let's go for it. That tastes like childhood, man. It is literally liquid candy. I haven't had a sugar soda in a very, very long time. I'm gonna be wired after this. Between the two of us here, we're kind of conferring as far as what we think about each place and which one we think is better. So far, we're kind of on the fence. I think I'm favoring Famous Lunch and Keith is favoring Gus's. We're kind of splitting hairs here, but that's kind of the fun of doing these little comparisons. It's why you keep as many variables constant as possible. But we still need to find out which one is the best. Let's see how Hot Dog Charlie fares today. If If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit it with a like and subscribe if you like food.
Our next stop is Hot Dog Charlie's. Hot Dog Charlie's is the oldest of the three. Celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2022, Hot Dog Charlie's has had the most exposure, having had locations in local malls, gas stations, as well as standalone stores across the capital region. 3 locations currently remain. The Cohoes store is the most modern stop of the day, with less of a greasy spoon aesthetic, but the charm of a 1980s fast food restaurant. But what about the hot dogs on this day?
Final stop of the day, Hot Dog Charlie's. We got a story to tell you about what just happened trying to get these hot dogs, but let's go into how this tastes and we'll break it down and tell you the story, and we'll tell you which one was the best of the day. Okay. This one here, the hot dog is the most outstanding part because it had the most snap. Between Gus's and Hot Dog Charlie, we were actually able to get there within just a few minutes of them opening. It kind of shows, like obviously we were one of the first customers, although there was another couple of young ladies in there having a hot dog brunch on this lovely Saturday. One more bite because I gotta taste the meat sauce kind of in context. The snap of that dog got me a little bit and confused me. It's uncommon for this style hot dog to have that much of a snap. When Keith tries his, I think he's gonna notice it too. I have to say, so far this one is the most balanced. Whether or not that makes it the best of the 3, I gotta think about it. Let's let Keith try his.
Cool thing about Hot Dog Charlie's is they got 2 different versions of their sauce. This is the regular one. And they've got a hot sauce version of it. It's got more peppers, it's got different seasonings in it. Let's try with the regular.
Snappy.
You were not kidding, man. There's a big skin on this dog. Wow, that has a lot of texture to it.
Keep it clean.
Like you said, I'm not used to that. Takes you back a little bit, but it's good. Being here at the beginning of the day is a little rough on these places because the benefit of being around for a few hours is the stuff gets to simmer, build up flavor and character. The rolls definitely get a little bit better as they steam a little bit longer, but no, it's still good. The thing that jumps out at me, I'm gonna grab a bite of this hot sauce one. When we're talking about the different textures of the sauces, Zippy sauce has a lot of chunk to it, a lot of bite, various profiles every bite you take based on the chunk that you happen to get. Gus's is very fine, very similar every single bite. Here again with Charlie's, you can see there's different size onions and pepper flakes all mixed in here. Oh man, this hot sauce is stellar. This wins the day for me. Spoiler alert.
When I do these videos, it's kind of a covert operation. Like I don't want to be recognized whenever I go to these places. Sometimes it's kind of hard to avoid, especially when you make a follow-up video to the same place. But in this case here, we ran into something interesting. We actually parked in the Hot Dog Charlie parking lot, and we're about to go across the street to get a little bit of the background to kind of make the video a little more interesting so you could see the facade of the building and stuff. And the owner actually came around and actually yelled at us for parking in private property. Once she actually realized that we were actually the people who made the video last time, then she kind of came around and like understood exactly what we were doing. And even when we got inside there, she was like, "You came back for another video? You did a follow-up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, it's kind of what we do here." She recognized me. She actually even remembered my name and asked me if I was Greek. And I gave her my usual spiel about how the Italians do some funny stuff. So anyway, fun time, but you guys want to know which hot dog is the best.
I was just thinking about this. We took a lot of the variables out. We've done all these spots individually before, but they're all on different days. When you come around the same time, on the same day, it's really amazing the different qualities of all the dogs and how much they contrast and they compare with each other, right? Simple ingredients, a bun, a dog, some meat sauce, right? Each place has their own spin on it. And the thing that gets me when I bite into this dog, there's no competition. This is by far the best dog out of the 3. And when you do it on the same day, it really shows that level of quality and consistency and just how much above the other 2 places this one is.
And as far as me, I think I have a lot of agreement with what Keith said there. I'm having a hard time kind of breaking down between Famous Lunch and Gus's. For me, I thought the Famous Lunch this morning was better because it was on the sweeter side and Gus's was a little more on the bitter side and more like ground up. Something about that texture at Gus's today was a little bit, I don't want to say off-putting because these are hot dogs. This isn't exactly like salmon on croûte. You know, you're talking about hot dogs. Coming to Hot Dog Charlie, I think as far as these go, this is the most controlled. And I think that's by design. This place actually is our local chain for these hot dogs, whereas Gus's and Famous Lunch are local institutions. Now, the age of the place I thought was going to play into it as well. Hot Dog Charlie is actually celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. They started in 1922. The lady running the place, who is the owner, reminded me of that. Famous Lunch actually has been in business for 90 years. And then I think 1953 is Gus's. That's significantly less, closer to like 60, 70 years in business. I would say Hot Dog Charlie doing it the longest, to me, wins out the day. I recently highlighted a place that does local fish fry that's kind of an institution just like Hot Dog Charlie. They also have a mini hot dog. One day we're gonna have to see how it compares, but for now, check out their fish fry right here.